from colleges to corporations to our culture, people are making money and gaining power by pretending we haven't made any progress at all, by doubling down on the divisions we've worked so hard to heal. You know this stuff is wrong. Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country.
They are words that will live in infamy from South Carolina Senator Tim Scott.
When you grow up just black, you have some level of awareness of the fact that like I'm treated differently than literally other kinds of people that exist. You don't really need much understanding in terms by way of education to really know that. Like your lived experiences give you that information.
Chicago rapper No Name, like many who experience the ills of this country simply for not being white, shows the Scotts of the world the tried and true feelings of the marginalized.
That dare not talk about black on black crime in Chicago.
Another lame duck point brought up by white supremacists like Charlie Kirk. Whataboutisms with Chicago, and why not talk about black on black crime?
When I look at any crime against black people in this country, for me, that's just white supremacy. Like if we in our communities had enough resources, I don't really think crime would exist how it does. Like I don't look at the person holding a gun, more so the system that created the circumstance for him to pick up the gun or for her to pick up the gun. If I'm thinking about gun violence, I'm thinking this is a systemic issue based on capitalism, like based on people not having resources. So, that's so we got to call it spade a spade.
She's right. And we've discussed this plenty on this very medium.
Okay, I think we've passed kneeling.
It's a stark contrast between Jay-Z cozying up to those that blackballed Colin Kaepernick to serve his capitalistic ways, and No Name writing in her song Namesake, reading between the line at the crime scene, I ain't blank with the NFL or Jay-Z, propaganda for the military complex, the same gun that shot Lil Terry out west, the same gun that shot Samir in the West Bank. We all think the Super Bowl is the best thing.
No advanced economy has ever achieved low poverty rates without high levels of government social spending. And the fact is, capitalists have always fought against those policies, against progressive taxation, against minimum wages, against social welfare programs, against union bargaining. Poverty has been reduced not by capitalism, but in spite of and against capitalists' opposition.
Shout out to my GOAT, Professor Richard Wolff. With No Name, there has been a theme.
And yeah, I definitely tweeted that capitalism wasn't evil, that it was a tool. And a lot of people pushed back and were very expressive about how wrong they felt I was. So I just started doing my own research and realized there is a whole structure in place that keeps people poor, keeps people isolated and marginalized, no matter how hard they try.
She tweeted something, did not get mad at the backlash, educated herself, and has opened doors for many through her own learnings. We need more of this mentality in society, not less.
The United States has the largest prison population on Earth. The country has 5% of the world's population, but nearly a quarter of all its prisoners. African American men are 6 times more likely to be incarcerated than white men. And African American men under 35 without a high school diploma are more likely to be imprisoned than employed in the labor market. Nearly 6 million former felons are denied the right to vote. That means 1 in 40 adults are disenfranchised, and 1 in 13 African Americans don't have a voice at the ballot box.
No Name sees the system as a racist, classist, and a failure in society. Thus, she wanted to try and help any way she could.
I really wanted to sort of form a community, like to have a book club. I selfishly thought there might be people who in the meeting could also help me understand the material that I was struggling to get by myself. The book club is basically just a space where we can read books that are written predominantly by Black folks and that usually have some sort of a political theme.
Right now we have about 14 chapters. I felt it was really important to not just have chapters all across the country on the outside, but also to have book club chapters inside of prisons and jails, because I think information should be free and accessible to everybody. One thing that the state is really good at is making us feel alone in our experiences.
She would start No Name Book Club. Please support her work and visit her site, nonamebookclub.com. We'll have a link in the bio.
The private prison model was simple. Build and manage buildings and secure government contracts. Charge a daily fee for each bed you fill, something called per diem, or what is commonly referred to as mandates. In 1987, Corrections Corporation of America, CCA, today called CoreCivic, charged $32.17 per inmate. By 1997, it charged the government 33% more. However, the company's cost only increased by about 8%. The company's revenue grew 27 times.
Look no further than the prison industry as well. Enabled by the 13th Amendment, the prison industry soars through keeping Americans, predominantly minorities, down. And plenty of companies benefit from this pennies on the dollar labor.
I think it's hard to have an understanding for capitalism if you don't trace it back to imperialism and colonialism. And that's what helped me to get a better understanding, because it's a lot of times when we talk about capitalism, we talk about it as a exclusively economic system. It's racial capitalism is really what it is. Like, I think we get lost in just talking about capitalism, but there's this like Black radical tradition that really talks about how it's rooted in racist practice. So whenever we talk about capitalism, it's beneficial to us to think about it and talk about it as racial capitalism.
Right. She rightfully calls it out, like she did here on Desus and Mero. R.I.P., by the way, to the best duo in late night.
If you look at countries throughout the world, the ones that don't have a drug problem are those that institute a very quick trial, death penalty sentence for drug dealers. It sounds horrible, doesn't it? But you know what? That's the ones that don't have any problem. It doesn't take 15 years in court. It goes quickly, and you execute a drug dealer.
It would be better if this was just a boomer Facebook post. But this nonsense comes from the former president of the United States, an ex-reality TV star who is completely out of touch.
With me, when it comes to that, like, again, I have a very loose, like, idea about criminality. Like, what the government has told me is a crime. Oh, you have this much weed on you, you get to go away for this many years. I don't believe in the ideas of criminality. So, like, when I make certain critiques, I don't necessarily think, like, oh, you're the worst kind of person because you sell drugs or whatever. I don't really care. I just am like, I see it as more like a means to an end. Yeah. I don't think it should be something that you would have to do in perpetuity forever and always.
Bingo. And it goes hand in hand with how we got here in the first place. Most importantly, she wants to use her platform for good.
I'm not a political pundit. I really am just a who really just likes rapping. Like, I don't actually really want to just have this be my persona. Like, I get that this is how people see me because this is what I put forward on social media. But I just felt like that's what else am I going to do with this big ass platform if not talk about something that's going to be some kind of helpful. Like, I don't do it because I know people think I do it because it's like, that's my brand. That's all I care about. But I'm just like, I just feel like it would be a waste of my platform. Hundreds of thousands of people follow me. So, like, I'd be feeling like I should use it for us in a more liberatory